Coming up, a hallmark summer program advancing education returns in person, and we learn about finding edible plants. Plus, a Pulitzer Prize finalist explores how his Anishinaabeg ancestors persevered in the face of American expansion. I'm Malia Chavez. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amarawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. We start in Miami, Florida, where Indigenous people took to the streets in protection of a sacred area that was recently uncovered by construction. ICT senior producer Vincent Moniz has all the details.
Members of the Indigenous community came together May 13th with the hope of persuading Miami developers to call off their building plans. Excavation for a luxury condo has unearthed the site of a Takesta settlement that includes pottery, tools, and ancestral remains. The Takesta lived in the region for thousands of years, but by the 1800s, slavery and disease wiped out their population. Indigenous rights advocate Betty Osceola, who was at the event, says it's disturbing that native remains are being referred to as artifacts.
They're just calling us artifacts. And when you call us artifacts, that makes it okay to dig us up and put us under a microscope and cut us into pieces to study our DNA. It's not okay. We're human beings just like everyone else, and we have the right to have our sacred sites protected. Indigenous people, who continually ask the city to stop ongoing digs in the area, may have some help. University of Miami anthropology head William Pestle is pushing the idea of a historic landmark designation with city officials. The selection would allow the board to review, approve, or modify the developer's plans. Pestle says the site, which is older than the pyramids in Egypt and Rome's Colosseum, is part of the area's rich and ancient history.
One of the most astounding findings to me, as an archaeologist that's been working for 30 years around the world, is that there are artifacts at this site that date back 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years, right? Now, not a huge number, but it is testament to the fact that this site has been occupied and has been, prime Miami real estate going back millennia.
A final vote on the designation for part of the village is expected sometime in the summer. Indigenous people from the region say they will continue to speak up in protection of their ancestors. In Bismarck, North Dakota, Vincent Moniz, ICT News.
Heading to Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate has unanimously approved a piece of legislation that would support veterans who are Native American if signed into law. Congress is working to make the National American Indian Veterans a congressional charter. It would recognize the patriotic and national organizations that focus on charity work. There has never been a charter for Native American veterans, despite serving at a higher rate in the U.S. military when compared to any other group. The National American Indian Veterans was created in 2004 at the request of then-Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell and 3 other senators. The organization represents the needs of over 140,000 Native American veterans and regularly provides input to Congress. The charter bill is supported by 26 tribes and now heads to the U.S. House of Representatives for consideration. Well, the 2023 National Hockey League playoffs includes Indigenous players for the first time in 5 years. Mohawk citizen Brandon Montour and Sioux Valley Dakota Nation citizen Zach Whitecloud are 2 of 10 Indigenous players who currently play in the NHL. Both Montour's team, the Florida Panthers, and Whitecloud's team, the Vegas Golden Knights, secured Game 2 wins in their respective conference finals. Games for both the Eastern and West Western Conference Finals will continue through the end of May. If both teams win their series, they would advance to Stanley Cup Finals in June, setting up a potential Indigenous player versus Indigenous player matchup. We end our headlines today with news from the ICT family. With heavy hearts, we share that our friend and colleague, Lisa Elwood, has died after a battle with cancer. In Lisa's role, she sifted through thousands of press releases sent to ICT by tribal nations, Native organizations, and government agencies. She then got those press releases on our website and to our audience through this newscast. Our former colleague, Vincent Schilling, has this tribute to Lisa, who was a citizen of the Lenape Indian tribe in Delaware.
Lisa J. Elwood was not just a colleague, but she was a friend and sister to myself and my family. In my career as a journalist, I found Lisa J. Elwood to be the most diligent and detail-oriented writer I have ever worked with. She was incredibly talented, and speaking with those she also worked with, said she had so much more to give. I'll miss you terribly, Lisa. You'll be missed, Seth. Blessings on your journey home.
Every weekday, you have heard her voice here. In addition to her duties, Lisa also lended her talents to our voiceover work, including the one for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. She did all of that while working remotely from Scotland, where she passed. We send our condolences to Lisa's loved ones. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. This next organization flies Indigenous students from their hometowns to a hosting university for a week. College Horizons hosts its programs to prepare high school and even college students for the next chapter of their educational careers. Joining us now to share the latest developments is Mikaela Crank. She is the organization's director for its Scholars Pathway program. Hello to you, Mikaela.
Hi, Leah. Thank you for having me.
College Horizons is back this summer. Tell us which universities will soon welcome Native students to their campuses.
Sure. So we have 3 staple programs that run each summer, and they evolve with our students' journey from high school to undergrad and grad school. And so our organization this year, after 3 years of being remote and virtual, we're excited to be back in person, and we'll be at different institutions for each program. So for our high school program, we're going to be at the University of Redlands in Redlands, California, and at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And then for our Scholars Pathway and Graduate Horizons, we're going to be hosted at Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin.
I actually would love to learn more about the Scholars Pathway program. I think College Horizons is something that a lot of people really know about given its long history, but tell us about this fairly new program.
Yes, I was brought on to fulfill this role as the director of scholars, and our executive director, Carmen Lopez, was looking at a way to bridge College Horizons, our high school program, to Graduate Horizons. And we knew that working with students at both ends of like the beginning of college and the end of their college journey, we wanted to make sure that we had support services in place for them to graduate, but also to be successful in their journey. So Scholars was built to work with students in that particular time. And we offer everything from summer programs to sort of enrich and support their learning. We have an Indigenous Research Methods class. We have a first-year transition for rising freshmen. And then we also offer year-round advising through academic coaching and sort of these different virtual workshops for students to participate and continue to be part of that College Horizons community.
Tell us about Graduate Horizons, because you're also helping undergraduate students.
Yes, so Graduate Horizons definitely serves anyone that's in undergrad, but also college graduates. So it's at a point where we're looking at students who are wanting to pursue graduate school, a professional degree, and are looking at ways to complete their application, get that personal statement ready, work on their resume, letters of recommendation. So it very much mirrors what we're working with students at the high school level. College Horizons mirrors Graduate Horizons. It's just at two very different entry points of higher education.
College Horizons is actually celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. Tell us about, the long-lasting legacy of this program.
Yes, it's actually very personal for me, just because I'm actually a College Horizons and Graduate Horizons alum. And so for me, I went to a College Horizons program in 2002, and our program was founded, our organization was founded in 1998. So I was at the very early part of the organization, and I have a profound memory, but also it's been such a lasting impact in my life because of this program. And obviously, I've come full circle because I've come back to work for the program. So for me, knowing that it's been 25 years is actually quite remarkable to know that our organization has come from a very early stage of being actually like regional. It was actually just focused on the Southwest, then becoming national, becoming a leading national college community-based organization, advocating for students. We provide professional development training for college admission offices. And then also we have to adapt to the political landscape, the changes. So we're really hitting a very pivotal time right now.
We know that it's too late to apply for the programs this summer, but overall, tell us what the application process looks like for people who are interested in applying to these programs.
Yes, for our high school program, the application actually opens up in the fall, so around like October every year. And then the deadline for applying actually ends like in January, December, January, and then we admit students by February, and then we start, rolling everything in terms of getting them into the program by very early spring. So we try to do our best to recruit students in that fall timeline.
And is it an incredibly competitive process?
I feel like what we do with our application is it mimics actually filling out a college application. So students are getting that like direct experience. I wouldn't say it's competitive. I would just say that you would need to spend some time actually filling out all of the components. So I've encouraged students to definitely, if they're eligible, I would apply.
Well, Mikaela Crank from College Horizons, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Spring is well upon us, and many are wondering what we can find in our own backyard to eat. That's what Fern, Renville, and Jenna Gray Eagle are here to talk about. They both come to us from Wakan Tipi, where Fern is the Dakota Cultural Educator and Jenna is the Environmental Justice Educator and Stewardship Coordinator. Welcome to you both.
Hello, thank you.
Fern, let's start with you. Your organization is known for its programs that help Indian country. Tell us about it.
So just to be totally clear, we have a new name, which is Wakan Tipi Awanyankapi. And there's also some alternative pronunciations. You can make a K sound, Awanyankapi, or a G, or like an H sound, which on paper it's a G, Awanyankapi. We'll argue later about which pronunciation is correct. WakanTipi just very recently was known as Lower Phelan Creek Project. So our new name reflects the fact that not only do we now have Dakota leadership, but the board has bylaws that ensure that the board will always be Native majority. And so that's actually an extremely beautiful story of land back in the form of allies, non-Native leadership of an environmental organization replacing themselves with Dakota leadership and Dakota people to do this work. So I haven't seen that happen in real life very often. So as a Dakota person who's reconnecting to my homelands, because I am enrolled at and from the Lake Traverse Reservation in South Dakota. That's really important. It's really important to feel like that sort of model of returning stewardship and care of our sacred sites is something that can happen, and it's happening here. So I'm really excited to be in this role. I've just been here for 3 months, and I'm doing what I always do, which is never give Jenna even a chance to introduce herself. So I'm going to stop myself right now and let her introduce herself. But I also forgot to tell you that, yes, I'm enrolled at Lake Traverse. I am Omaha and Seneca Cayuga through my grandmother, Naomi Renville. But I grew up as a Dakota person, and that's my primary identity, is as a Sissetuan Wapetuan Oyade. And I'll talk more about that later after Jenna has had a chance.
My name's Jenna Gray-Eagle, Hamadaki-Epi, and I am as you said, the environmental justice educator and stewardship coordinator. And I think our organization is just really focused on reclaiming a sacred site here in downtown St. Paul. And I think that, we're working really hard towards restoration of the site and also providing environmental education and just, trying to have a presence here in metro areas. Quite difficult as an Indigenous person just because it's been so colonized. But I think that, that's kind of the point of our organization, is just to keep trying to have a presence here and keep trying to reclaim our culture.
Jenna, that's a great segue. You mentioned reclaiming this site. For our viewers who are learning about this effort for the very first time, set the scene for us and what you're battling.
Right. So Wakan Tipi is a sacred Dakota site that was also known as Carver's Cave. And so that was an explorer in the early 1800s who found the site because of the Kaposia village that was centered pretty close to the site, and they showed him the site. And because he found it, it's called Carver's Cave, but they originally called it Wakan Tipi. And so through those historical archives and through this area is also known as Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary, and it's right in the downtown St. Paul area. And our organization, Lower Failing Creek Project, started basically as a restoration project because it was known as a city dumping ground for a very long time. And so as they were looking through historical archives, they realized that actually it's a sacred Dakota site. And then slowly throughout the years, it's taken about 30 years, but now it's all leadership is Dakota women at this point, and that's incredible. So I'm super happy to be working for this org.
Just to be super clear, I arrived in this role at a pivotal moment when most of the work's already been done by incredible people who came before me. So I feel very blessed and privileged to be here just at this moment as we are moving forward into some very new territory as partners with government agencies and municipalities.
I opened up this interview with talking about gardening and things we can find in our backyard. Fern, I know that Minnesota has had a very hard and snowy winter this year. What does that mean for gardening in the area?
Means everything is just starting to bud. My lilacs are just budding. They're not even open yet. And I haven't planted any corn or beans yet, but I think this weekend will be the time. But it also means that all of the greens that we forage for in the spring have been a little slower and are a little behind schedule. But everything is coming up. That's the amazing thing about Minnesota, is that when the soil gets warm, stuff just explodes out of the ground. So absolutely, at the WakanTipi site, we're totally seeing everything coming up and just growing very fast, including nettles.
Nettles, we didn't even get the chance to talk about that, but unfortunately we've run out of time today. Fern and Jenna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Pidame.
Our next guest joins us fresh off of a major recognition. Early this month, Columbia University history professor Michael John Wicken was named a Pulitzer Award finalist for his book, Seeing Red: Indigenous Land, American Expansion, and the Political Economy of Plunder in North America. Hello, Professor. Welcome to the ICT Newscast.
Hi, Leah. Thanks for having me.
Being named a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize is such a huge honor. Tell us what it was like when you found out the news.
It was a complete surprise. I found out because people started to send me emails of congratulations. So I didn't realize I was up for it and was completely surprised and found out kind of by happenstance.
So sounds like you wrote this book and then got this prize and didn't quite know that it was even happening.
No, I didn't know it was up. The book has been out for a little over a year, and it had won another prize to the American Organization of Historians, but I didn't know it was up for the Pulitzer, and was really honored to have been awarded a prize as finalist. So it's been quite exciting.
Let's actually dive more into your book, Seeing Red. At a high level, give us an overview of what it's about.
One of the things that I'm trying to do is make it clear that the United States and its expansion to the West was a process of colonization. I think the colonial project that Europeans imagined that they were engaged in when they arrived here, which was discovering a new world and settling a continent that was an unsettled wilderness, it was always been sort of a fantasy. And the United States, after the Revolution, sort of took on the same colonial project, but they quickly ran into the fact that the West, the territory west of the original 13 colonies, was an unsettled wilderness, was occupied by indigenous nations. And the book is sort of outlining that. I mean, there's a long history where the United States actually acts as a colonial agent, as an empire, as it moves through indigenous space. And one of the things that I was really interested in was thinking about the place that my family's from, the Great Lakes region where the Anishinaabeg or Ojibwe are from, remained an indigenous space well into the 19th century. And I think most Americans don't realize that. There's a majority population, in Michigan territory, now the state of Michigan. As late as 1820, there were less than 10,000 non-native settlers in that region. That's pretty late. And it's only after the opening of the Erie Canal that there's a population flood that moves in to Michigan territory. And so the territory goes from being a territory to a state between 1805 and 1836 through a series of 11 treaties. It's a really short period of time in which almost the entirety of the state is turned from native territory into the public domain of the United States and then offered for sale to U.S. settlers. And that process, this process of dispossessing native people, is it's a conscious political act, and it's an act of colonization. And fortunately, Anishinaabe people were able to resist removal, which was the other big sort of national phenomenon happening at the time, moving native peoples east of the Mississippi to Indian territory. And we're able to negotiate and remain in our home territories, but at the cost of really being forced to cede vast amounts of territory for a really small amount of money. And I just wanted to capture that process and show it as a deliberate process, that the U.S. Is occupying an indigenous space, and that the work of transforming it from an indigenous space to the modern nation states that we have now was a colonial process. It took a lot of work and involved kind of a systematic dispossession of native people.
I think that your findings, as you said, calling this a deliberate act, a conscious political act, is something that a lot of people in Indian country have known for their whole lives. Given that this book is now elevated by you becoming a finalist for the Pulitzer, do you hope that this message reaches non-Native people and wider audiences?
Absolutely. And I think this is super important. I think most people don't realize this narrative of a sort of benign expansion into an unsettled wilderness is out there, and you can run into it as you go through high school, elementary school history classes. And I think putting front and center the fact that the continent's not empty, that the dispossession of Native people is how America is founded, but also the backbone of the modern state comes from this dispossession. I mentioned the treaties that dispossess people in Michigan. That land goes into the public domain and then is sold to settlers through the Northwest Ordinance. And in the West, a similar process occurred where Native people are forced to cede land, which then goes into the public domain, is sold to settlers for the Homestead Act. So it's a way of subsidizing land sales and homesteading for white settlers on the basis of Indian land. And that same land base also does things like fund the railroads. Land cessions that were forced on Native peoples were then turned into public scrip that is, financial instruments that were given to railroads to finance the railroad. Similarly, the land grant colleges in the United States are exclusively funded from land scripts that are created from the sale of any land that were forced through treaty cession, turned into public instruments, then given to the states so they could then cash those land sales in and use it as a basis for funding the land grant universities. So all the endowments of the land grant universities in all 50 states came from the profit of selling indigenous land. So being aware that the public infrastructure of the United States was created through indigenous dispossession is a reminder to American citizens that they have a stake in this and that their wealth and good fortune depended on the dispossessing of the Indian people. And there's a responsibility that comes with that knowledge. And I think that's what I would hope the message that would sort of get to a wider audience.
Well, Professor, you've left me with 10 other questions, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you again.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.